JK, my man, welcome to the podcast. How you doing?
I appreciate it, Oli. All good, brother. All good. It's been a while since we talked.
Yeah, man, it's been a while. And I think the last time we spoke, we were talking fitness. So today we're going to talk about fitness. We're going to talk about business, but we're also going to talk about ghostwriting, man, and all the cool things that you're doing. So for the audience that may not know who you are, man, do you just want to give a brief overview of JK?
So, hello, everyone. My name is JK. I go by JK Molina on Twitter. And what I do is I'm a ghostwriter for Twitter accounts. So I help others grow Twitter accounts, mainly people who have like high ticket offers, right? So maybe you have coaching, maybe you have service. So I handle your audience. I build the audience for you. And I've been a fan of Oliver Anwar for about a year now. So glad to be here.
My man, thank you for the kind words. And same as me, man. Like when I came across your account a couple of years ago, the way that you write is very unique, man. And you can tell that you're an expert in what you do because it's your full-time living now. So, man, what made you want to get into writing online then? When did that start?
So I've tried a lot of shit, right? So in the beginning, I wanted to be like a copywriter. I had a job that I wanted to be. I was doing like email copywriting, web design, like funnels, and it was a cool job, but I want to see something else, right? Like pay here is not really good at at whatever you do. So it's like, I know, why not Twitter? So you go on Twitter, and first thing you see when you go on money Twitter, like people posting like ridiculous screenshots, right? Like 100K months, 200K months. It's like, holy shit, I want to try that. And I kind of follow everybody on Twitter, and it was fun. And then Lawrence King, I don't know if you know the guy. So Lawrence posted this thing that's, yo guys, check this thing about Gillette. You know, Gillette, the razor company. And this thing, Gillette has like 130,000 followers. But if you check their likes and everything they post, it's like 3 to 4 likes. And that's like stupid low, right? Like even I got better engagement when I was like super little. So I'm thinking like these companies can make so much money. They're multi-billion-dollar companies. Why not, pitch people who already have a lot of money? So I started pitching them and be like, yo, you guys, I kind of know Twitter. I can write for you guys. And then I started going to like e-com niche and fitness niche. And one thing led to another. And now we have an agency. We're like 4 people now. And it's just growing, man.
That's amazing, man. So basically you saw the opportunity to kind of target bigger brands on socials where their content isn't that great, but they've obviously got big brands all over the world. And then you kind of created a business to kind of cater for that, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like kind of intangible things, because when you build an audience in the beginning, it's like harder to explain to people. Like, this, like the first months, you and me were like, what the fuck are we doing, right? Like, is anything gonna come out from this? So I got a couple likes on my tweet, like what's next? But it's kind of the intangible things that you want to have with your Twitter, like people talking about you, like top of mind. So when people think, oh, ghostwriter, they think fitness coach, they think about us just because we're in the feed all the time, constantly. So it's kind of this intangible things, which is why it's easier to sell to people who have already done like a lot in their lives. Like if you're like need the money, you don't really need a ghostwriter, but you already have done a lot of things. And then you're free to test and like network with other people. It's better to tailor those kind of people because it's just longer term thinking. And I think that's kind of what you needed when you ghostwrite. So that's why I tailor those people. And so far it's been great.
Amazing, man. It's so cool. It's such a interesting kind of job and occupation to have. And I understand, JK, you are still quite young, aren't you, man? You're what, 21 now, 22?
I am 21, just turned 21.
Yeah. So you studying as well, man. Last time we spoke, you were studying. So what's going on with your studies? What are you studying?
So I was in computer science, actually just dropped out like a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, man, that was pretty cool. So if you want to hear the whole story of like how I came up to like be like where I am right now, like talking to you and having all this Twitter thing, it's really fun, dude. So I graduated high school when I was like 17 or 16. And in here, you start high school you start college on January, but we graduated on July because it was like kind of an American college, which is why like I had like 6 months to do whatever I wanted. So I'm thinking, all right, so I'm gonna be a businessman. I'm gonna be a fucking Jeff Bezos, drop out from college first semester. That's it. I'm gonna win. So I grew plants in my backyard, right? And I started squashing them and put them in alcohol, and I was selling perfumes to like the old ladies in my neighborhood. And then I sold apparel. Then I got a job like a free job at, they weren't paying me at a sales job here in digital marketing. So that's kind of how I learned the ropes and things. That's also like how I learned business writing in English, because I speak Spanish. That's like my main thing. But English is kind of weird when you write it, in that it's way simpler than you really have to, it's simpler than you speak it. Like when you write stuff, it has to sound like somebody's talking to you, which is kind of where I learned. And it was no pay. Then I got a job. I was a copywriter and like web designer and like VA, and I did everything for like $250 a month. That's what they were paying me, and that was 3K a year. So when I found Twitter people making 3K a day, I was like, all right, somebody's lying to me. Like either Twitter or my boss is fucking lying to me, right? And that's kind of how I just got into it. And while college, like it was great because it taught me a little bit of code, but then the business kind of took off and it didn't really make sense to keep going, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the biggest problem, isn't it? Once you start making a little bit of extra money within a field that is completely irrelevant to your university degree or, you know, whatever you're doing, it just doesn't make sense to carry it on, right? It just doesn't, because why? Like the whole point you got this degree and you got into, you know, you paid for it, you got into debt, is because you wanted to pay that back and actually earn more. So it's a profitable thing for you. But if you're doing something different and you're making all that money, what's the point of the degree? You don't need it.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, and like to be real with you, where I live, Guate, if you have like, if you are a software engineer, like super fucking good at code, and you get a really good job, you're lucky if you get like $800 a month pay. That's like it. And I know it just doesn't make sense, right? It's just too little money, and that's like a high skill. I suck at code, by the way. But then I got my first client, which was, I signed them what? It was $700 a month, and it was 5 tweets a day. And I was thinking, dude, like this guy's 34 years to get a degree. I write like 5 tweets a day and I'm done, right? I make the same amount of money. And $700 here is like real fucking good money. It's like a lot of money, right? So I'm just happy. And the day I signed my first client, I was like, yeah, it just didn't make sense. And with all the great people on Twitter, I don't know how many people listening to this are on Twitter. Like you're one connection away from just making a fuck ton of money, which is so cool to me. So yeah, that's why I dropped out.
Yeah, that makes lots of sense, man. That's incredible. And when did you find that, you know, I guess when you started getting to the point where you knew you could do this full time, when did your income really start to increase, where you said, you know what, I don't need university anymore, I can start doing this properly?
Kind of when, yeah, actually the first client was the thing. But the one thing was, and this one's kind of funny because I was making, yeah, like 250 a month. And then I was like, okay, like what's the math? What do I really need to like replace my salary? And I was like, that's like 3 ebook sales, right?
Yeah.
It's like one or two tweets. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm gonna be fine, right? I think I'm gonna be good. And then I signed one client, and it's just the one thing, dude. Like, I don't know if you had this, but like the first client you get, it just changes everything up for you. You
Yeah.
just get one guy, and you're like, one guy believed in me, and that's all I need. And then you get the momentum and the testimonial, right? And they're like, all right, so who have you worked with before? And you show them the one picture you've shown everybody else, the one screenshot, and everybody's like, okay, this guy's legit. So that's kind of the snowball starter.
Yeah, for sure. It's all about momentum, right? Once you get going. Same with any kind of businesses. Getting the first client's the hardest. Gives you that kind of kick in your ass to say, right, we can go get another. And once you start building that, the rest of the social proof, it then becomes so much easier then to bring them in. But it's like that initial one. But you're right. Like once you start making the money that, like, you know, I remember when I worked at a corporate job, and like I remember like I signed one client which was like 3 months worth of working like in a corporate 9 to 5. And when that happened, I was like, well, like that was just from one sale, man. Like, how the hell would I go into this job for 3 months and like get paid like a third of the pay? Like, it doesn't make sense to me, you know? So no, I can definitely relate on that.
What did you work on? Like, what was your job?
Yeah, so interesting story. I was a sales executive in London. So I basically worked for a big telecoms company doing B2B sales of like telecoms and networks. So basically selling companies circuits like video conferencing like this, but managing kind of like the accounts of like big clients. So we were working with people like Visa, MasterCard, other big kind of international brands. But what I found was like I was there and like this is the problem when you just start a company. If you feel that you're competent, you got to wait so long to get up the ladder, right? Like I had guys like telling me to do jobs that I thought were beneath me, right? I was like, I could do his job, right, and the guy above me's job, and it would take me ages to get to that point. So I had to leave, man. It just wasn't for me. Like, obviously, the money's the important thing, but I think more than anything, when it comes to being a business owner or entrepreneur, whatever you want to call it, is autonomy to do what you want to do and actually push yourself. In some of these jobs, they just don't allow you to do it, I don't think, especially, if you're working under a boss, they kind of keep you in that little cage. And for me, that's not what it's about, man.
Yeah. Also, this reminds me of some Oliver Canton tweet that one of the perks of online business is having the freedom to not censor yourself. And boy, you
Yeah.
really got that right on Instagram, bro. Like I check your Instagram, it's hilarious. Like you're so much more interesting than what your Twitter shows. You have so much fucking going for you. It's so like the Ollie in Instagram and the Ollie in Twitter, they're like so funny. Shit.
Yeah, like I try to keep one side of things, like Twitter a little bit more business, and then like Instagram a little bit more like humorous, like don't give a fuck sort of thing. So you get, if you follow me on both and you listen to this, you'll see the contrast in my content, man. It's that's the thing. It's right though, man. I think you should be able to express yourself without getting sacked, right? Like it's just a joke, a lot of the stuff.
Yeah. The great thing about online is you don't have to care about it. Like I couldn't
Yeah.
tweet this shit that I tweet today if I had a job. So yeah,
Yeah.
a little perk that I didn't think about.
Yeah, for sure, man. I wanted to move on to kind of high performance because I know it's something we both kind of really passionate about. The guys I work with, we focus on building high performance bodies and just a high performance life, right, where you optimize and you can be productive. And for you, someone that's 21, you're building great businesses, and you obviously got a lot on. You like to stay fit as well. How important is high performance to you, and what kind of habits do you instill in yourself to stay at a high level when you operate?
You mean like fitness and nutrition related?
Yeah, from a fitness and nutrition standpoint.
Yeah. So I try to go to the gym 5 days a week. And for me, and this is really weird, but the gym helped me write. And people don't think about this
Really?
shit. And yeah, Joey taught me a little bit about this. So he gave me a strategy that I've never thought about, and I did it the other way. So I told him like, yo, Joey, like I'm not creative enough when I write. Like I sit down, I have my keyboard on, I'm like, I don't know what to write. And he's like, oh, okay, so when are you writing? I'm like, I'm writing in the morning. It's like, are you, like, don't do that. That's wrong. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like I did that for like years. So the thing about the gym is that when I go, dude, I love this topic. So you go to the gym and you might be tired, but you're not low energy. You know what I mean? It's like you're
Yeah.
tired of your muscle. You're like, but then you're like, all right, I can do a lot of shit. Like I can go walk and I can work. I can do a lot. So that's kind of what I use. And I train in the evenings. And Joey gave me this like framework. So right when you're high, what is it? Low, high energy, low focus. Yeah, I think that's it. So when you're like chill, you're not worrying about the outcome. That's when I write, and I don't really care about what I'm writing. But then in the morning, when you're well rested, you edit. So
Right.
you write when you're like when you go to the gym, like every like everything has their volume turned down. Like when you're done, it's like, okay, I worked out, I'm cool, I feel good. And then you just write. And you might write like absolute garbage, but a little bit of it is gonna be good. Right. And then you edit in the morning when you're like your energy is way higher, but your focus is way higher. And then you're like, I can edit now. Like I can like fix what I wrote when I was like after fitness mode. So that's kind of the dichotomy of how I write now. So that really helped. The other things is that, and I'm like, I always do that. Like I had a coach, like a business coach, and client work can be stressful, right? Because one thing falls
Sure.
out and everything just fucks up, right? So I'm like, I always tell them like, what are we gonna do? Like my team asks me, and I'm like, I don't know. Let me work out, and I come back with a better answer when I'm smarter. Because
Yeah,
working
yeah.
out, yeah, working out makes you smarter. Like no, like for real though. Like problems go down, problems tone down, and I'm like, okay, I can know. I have an answer now. I can do this now. So that's really helped. And the other ones, I'm just energy. like I used to crash at like, what is it? Now it's noon. I used to be like crashing at 11 a.m. I was like, okay, fuck it. Like I can't do it anymore. I don't know, just lethargic. I didn't want to do anything. But then like people get it wrong. Just because you're tired, like working out will fix that for you. It's not like you're tired and then you work out, you're gonna be more tired. It doesn't work that way. And it's kind of counterintuitive, right? So if I don't want to work anymore, I'm like, shit, I need to get this done, but I don't know how to do it. It's like a good rest from all the mental work that I do. So you just go to the gym, you don't have to think about shit. You just pick up the weight, you lift that shit, and then you don't think about it. You come back and you're like, your mind is well rested. You know exactly what to like. The problems solve themselves by themselves, you know?
Yeah, that's so interesting, man. That's really, really interesting. I think I remember you tweeting about that, and I can relate because every time I have a gym session, and like I'm either mid set or towards the end of the workout, I start thinking of these fire tweets, man, that I could put out on Twitter, and I'm like, how's this happened? And it's exactly like what you spoke about there. It's the fact that you're in a different environment. And I think there's a difference between productivity and like creativity as well, right? Like creativity requires you to be in like a different mindset as than productive. And productive is great for like output and like staying in routine. But I feel that like they're the yin and the yang, they work in opposites. If you want to be creative, you need to not be in this like productive, like I need to get this done in an hour. You need to be like free flowing. Whereas when you want to be productive, you need to be like, right, I need to do this, boom, and like it's balls to the wall sort of thing. It's kind of like two different things.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to say. You said it better. So yeah, edit in the no, right in the evening when your creativity is high but your focus is low. You edit in the morning when your creativity is low but your focus is high. That's it. That's like the framework. Yeah. Thanks, man. But this reminds me again, dude, from this tweet from Tej. So I don't know if you guys know Tej Dosa. He's a great guy on Twitter. Really like him. He says that like once you get to a certain level and you like make a lot of money, you realize that the real money, like the real big money, is not made during work, but it's made during the breaks when you have the ideas that you can execute during the work. So it reminds me again of this quote that my coach told me. I used to play volleyball, right? So he said, training is where you actually win the medals. Tournaments are just the places where you pick them up. It's like,
Yeah, I
holy
love
shit,
that.
it's like kind of the same principle. That was fire, yo. When he said that, I was like, I felt that shit. So when when Tesh said that thing, it kind of reminded me of the same thing. When you work out and you just take a deliberate break from everything you're doing, you realize you're way better at problem solving than you think you are. Because all the synapses, all this blood is rushing to your brain and ideas just start coming up. You're like, shit, I didn't know I could write like this. I didn't know I could problem solve like this. And then when you have all those ideas, you grab a piece of paper, you write that shit down. And when it's time to work, you just execute the plan that your brain already did for you just because you gave it so much oxygen and blood, right? You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
for me, like, if you want to be a writer, just fucking lift. Like it really works. It sounds like bullshit, right? And it's like, if you lift weights, you get it. If you don't, you don't get it. But it really, really works.
Yeah, for sure, man. And it goes with other problems as well, right? So if you're having a problem within like a relationship or, maybe it's not a business problem, right? Just by taking a break to go and work out or to go for a walk, right? I find that a walk does the same thing, like a walk in nature in the middle of the day, right? You solve your problems by resting. And it sounds so counterintuitive because you're in your head the whole day. And when you're in your head, you stop looking and then stress builds up and like your vision goes even more narrow, right? And you're just not like in any position to solve the problem. Once you open things out, like let this stress go, you think differently, you move differently, and like you solve problems differently. So I can definitely relate to that, man. That's awesome. I love that you said that, as a writer, you got a lift. That's what it's about, right? That's going to make you a better writer.
Yeah.
I can stand by that message. But also, man, like, what would your other tips be for, let's say, guys that are just starting out with writing? How can they improve their writing kind of directly?
All right. So you're just starting out. Let's talk Twitter because I don't know how to write long form. I'm really bad at fucking blog posts. I tried and I really suck at it. But let's talk Twitter. So yeah. So Twitter is I'd say two things. So one is if you wanna write better, you need to write. So I kind of had this challenge that Ed Lattimore tweeted once. it was just sit down first thing in the morning and write 500 words. They can be about anything. They can be an absolute garbage, and that's fine, because that's not the point. Like, you get better by the reps. Like, writing, people think it's a quality game, and it's not really that. Writing is a quantity game. Editing is a quality game. So don't mix those two. So if you're writing, you're gonna put yourself in writing mode, and don't even go back and edit typos. So you're gonna write something and you're gonna mess it up, right? Um, and that's fine, because you're not allowed to go back and fix stuff. You're just allowed to write. And when you do that, and when you kind of remove that, that kind of like chain of, oh, I gotta do it good, I gotta be better, oh, look at these better writers, they're so much better than me. When you remove that limit, you just become so much better. And I actually learned that when I used to record YouTube videos for the marketing company that I talked to you about. So I always told people, so when you're recording yourself, like, some people are just not that good on camera, and that's fine. Like, so you record yourself, and maybe they have to talk for 1 minute, and second 10, they just kind of fuck up. They're like, I gotta repeat it. And it's like, no, keep talking even if you fucked up, because next time you're gonna go longer than if you just stopped at second 10, right? So you record yourself for 1 minute, and it's like, okay, now you don't fear failure, because you're like, I failed, but I did it anyway. So eventually you're not gonna get it right on your 100th try. You're gonna get it right on your 12th try, just because you gave yourself permission to suck. So that's the first thing. Give yourself permission to suck when you're ready. And number two is, I like to keep a swipe file of the best tweets. So if you go, let's say you're a fitness guy, right? So you go to Oliver's tweets and you look up how to filter by top likes. You filter Oliver's best tweets by like 500 likes or whatever. And then you have access to every single tweet Oliver has ever written that has over 500 likes, meaning it's good, meaning it hit a chord, meaning it's persuasive. So once you collect all these tweets, and dude, I have like 3,000 of these. Like, I hired somebody to pick them up for me. So from fitness, marketing, startups, self-improvement, SaaS, crypto. So you have all these libraries, and you just expose yourself to that good writing. You just get better just because of it. Just, if you want to be better at soccer, surround yourself with better soccer players, right? If you want to be better at writing, surround yourself with beautiful writing. Eventually, because your brain is really good at pattern recognition, you will adapt and you will start writing better stuff if you just came at it like from a no inspiration standpoint. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, man. So first point there to summarize would be basically put your reps in, make sure that you're doing the reps every day. Even if it's shit, just keep writing and just kind of like dump it out there, edit at a different time, because editing's for quality. And the second thing is surround yourself with high quality writing, good quality writing, some of the best writing for that platform, for instance, like Twitter, and then basically follow the patterns from that when you write your own tweets.
Yeah, pretty much. And give yourself permission to suck, because it's really like it's gonna suck so bad. Like, if I have 20 tweets scheduled, I probably have like 200 tweets in my draft just because they suck. But if you want to write one good tweet, you have to write 9 bad tweets. That's just how it works.
Yeah, for sure. And I can relate to that. I don't know if you know this, but I hired a coach last year to help me become a better writer on Twitter. And this was like when I had like less than 1,000 followers. So I got him to, basically, he would coach me on what I'd write. So I'd write like 10 tweets a day. I would just write them as I would write them. Then I'd send them to him. He would tell me why they're shit. He would edit them and then send them back to me. And I would do this process for like 30 days, right? It was just like writing like 10 tweets a day for like 30 days, 10 to 15 for 30 days. And like what you realize is, especially what I realized when I write, is you write so much fluff, man. Like there was so much bullshit in the tweets, like when I started, that you don't need like extra words, right? Adjectives, right? Different nouns that you just put in for no fucking reason, right? And it's just a habit that you learn to write. And I think the good thing about Twitter is, and short form, is like you can make powerful fucking tweets in like 5-6 words, man. Like, you know what I mean? You can really condense shit down, but it is like a huge filtering process, because most people, from what I know anyway, they seem to just write too much and they write too much bullshit and they're not concise enough.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot, which is why, like I said, like, I'm forgiving. And then when I edit, like, dude, when I'm finished writing, because I'm not going back and editing, my thought is just like, I'm the fucking man. I'm so fucking good at what I do, right? But then I come back and edit, and I'm like, this is so bad. Like, this is horrible, right? But that's kind of just how it is. And Twitter is great because you can get really creative. So if you want to drive a point, there's several ways you can do it. So you tweeted this one time, I really liked it. It's I survived 2020. And it was a
Oh
girl
yeah.
that was in a 5-story apartment, a 5-story house with 1,000 rooms or some shit. So yeah, that was one of the best tweets. And that, like, Twitter is good because it lets you make your point several ways. So that was a point, as in, like, people are so full of shit, right? And but you said it like so elegantly, and it attracted the people you wanted. Another way might be like a picture of like the tweet versus where they tweeting from, and an iPhone Pro 12 Max, right? That could be something. Or you could just tweet something, I don't know, just be rash about it and be like, so people are so full of shit, they'll do this, and but they will have X condition while having Y limitation, something like that. So what I like about Twitter is it makes you drive your point easy, but you have to be very concise, and you won't know. Like, Twitter is kind of its own lingo, I would say, because some things that work on Twitter may not work as well on Instagram, right? Instagram is a bit longer content, way more visual, but the good thing is that you don't really need a lot to come up with posts. You can create life-changing tweets and things that will open doors for you in one sentence. You can't do that with Instagram or Facebook. You have to, like, really think about it. Or YouTube, you have to make a whole fucking video about it. So Twitter's like, I like it because it's low commitment content, and you can try and get way more reps than you have on Instagram or Facebook, right? Because you can tweet 10 times in 1 minute and there's nothing limiting you from it.
100%. And it doesn't also help you practice your writing, but it also lets you show different facets of who you are. So, like, I'm a fitness guy, right? But I'll tweet about, I don't know, I could post about like a dating tweet, right? Or I could tweet something about like what's topical that's going on, my political views. I can then talk about something else, right? And like what people are then seeing is they're seeing these different avenues of who Oliver Anwar is. They're like, oh, okay, he's got this political affiliation, or oh, okay, he knows a little bit about like dating or some other shit, right? So it kind of like has like, it brings you together more as a person. Whereas on Instagram and these other platforms, it's people just show the one thing that they want you to see, right? So for chicks, they want to just show their fucking body. You know, for some guys, they just want to show the one side of them. It could just be their body. It's very hard to actually get your whole personality across on other platforms. Whereas for Twitter, I feel like there's sometimes no hiding, because if you're expressing yourself so much every day with all these different bits of content, you're showing kind of the depths of your character, and that's really important for personal brand, I think.
Dude, yeah, for sure. Like people on Twitter value your body. If it's on Facebook, you post shit about your family. If it's on Twitter, it's like shit about your brain.
That's
Right?
it.
It's like people really like
Yeah.
how you think. I like how Matthew Kovac phrases this. You see, dude, during this talk, I've referenced like 15 tweets already. Like, I fucking think in tweets at this point. Shit. But he had one that said, LinkedIn is the networking conference. Twitter is the bar after the networking conference where you actually network. And I
Yeah,
really
yeah.
like that. That was good. Yeah. So that's kind of how I think about Twitter. You just connect with so many people, dude. And it's the randomest DMs from people with an anime profile picture that will pay you $10,000 a month, and you don't even fucking know who they are, right?
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, Jake, I need a ghostwriter. And when I get on a call, they own like so many fucking Bitcoins and a yacht, and they live in fucking Manhattan. And you don't know, right? Because they're lurking there on Twitter. There's so many people with money on Twitter, and nobody's talking about this, bro. It's not just the connections. It's just the sheer amount of secret millionaires that are just checking your shit posts every day. It's amazing.
It is so true, man. And my own business absolutely skyrocketed once I started posting on Twitter regularly. Like, I've been on Instagram for like 3 years, man, posting every day, you know, good quality photos, workouts, like putting so much effort into fucking content, right? As soon as I started sharing my ideas and getting on Twitter and connecting with, you know, the right people, my business has just gone like that. It's kind of like if you're not on Twitter as somebody that's trying to build a personal brand, like, what are you doing, man? You need to get on there. It's the best
Dude,
platform.
real. And I think one of the biggest things for us that are actually selling stuff is that Twitter is already warm traffic. You don't need to
Yeah.
be a huge copywriter or like have a amazing offer. Like, just because people know you and they trust you, like if you launch a fitness PDF tomorrow, dude, you make like 5K in a day, like easy money, right? Just because people already trust you so much, right? It's great. So if you have an audience on Twitter, like it's just not a Twitter audience, it's a warm audience that likes you and wants to buy from you. So it's kind of different from what I see in other social networks.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree, man. And then on that point, then in regards to growing a Twitter audience, what tips could you give to people listening that are looking to scale their audience up and grow a big account similar to you?
All right, so we're just starting out. You got zero?
Yeah.
All right, so you got zero. So there's like two ways to go about it. There's the regular way, which I think you and me took, and then there's the smarter way, which I think we should have taken. So the first one is you gotta comment on the other people's things. You gotta add value, quote unquote, and just be like, this is interesting. This reminds me of something, and just be visible. Because if like Oliver has like a 10,000 like tweet and you write something that's really cool, you're gonna be the top tweet. So like you're borrowing Oliver's audience and impressions to get impressions on your tweet. So that's kind of like the main thing when you're starting out. That's like what growth guides sell. However, if you're listening to this, I will assume you have done something cool with your life. Maybe you've lost weight. Maybe you built a business. Maybe you have an agency. You've gone through something that taught you a couple lessons when you had a hard time going through it. So the best thing to grow into like 1K to 2K followers in a day, it's easy. So you write a thread, and a thread is basically like a line of tweets, like it's like a blog post but in tweet format. So you make the first tweet really baity, which is a little bit of copywriting. So you can look up best headlines of all time, and you'll have so many good headlines that just get people clicking. That's the main goal of the first one. You want people to click. So you get that thing, and then you write the thread, maybe 10 lessons that being in the army told you, or your best principles for web design, how did your story from rags to riches, especially stories sell. So if I were to write for Oliver, I'd say, how I went from working corporate 9 to 5 to being a Jack 10 Papichulo, coaching people from all over the world and making an XK a month business, an online business / coaching manifesto. So that's like the headline, right? And then it gets people to read. So you kind of tell your story, and in the end, you ask people to follow you. Those are the most important part of the thread, not the middle. That's like, that doesn't matter. Well, it does matter, but not too much. But 90% of the thread success is the first tweet and the last tweet, because this is where you get people to read. This is where I tell people to do something. So once you get that thread done, if you post it, then it's gonna go nowhere. You're tweeting to the wall. So this is when you get like $100 or $200, and you pay big players in your niche. So let's say I'm in fitness, I'll pay Oliver, and maybe like when you follow somebody on Twitter, it recommends you some other people, maybe them, and you'll be like, how much is it for a retweet? And they'll say 25, $30. That's like an average in the industry. So because you already have a thread that will do well, because you basically got it from the best headlines of all time, so it's obviously good. And then you ask people with the network and the people you want to retweet you and to endorse you, and you pay for them. With $200, you get 1,000 to 2,000 followers in a day. And that would have been so much fucking easier than what we did, dude. But yeah, that's kind of how you start.
That's amazing, man. That's good advice. And I wish that I knew that when I started out, because I just, like you, commented on lots of stuff, engaged, and then just put out just tons and tons of content, right? And it's definitely not the smartest way to do it. And I think a lot of people fall into the trap of, they think just the content will get them where they want to be. But you need to get eyes on your audience and your offer. And it's the same with what you're selling, right? If you're selling a coaching package, right, you could have the best copy in the world, or you could have the best offer in the world, but if you're not got any traffic to it and nobody's seeing it, you're not going to convert anything, right? Like online business is all about clicks, man. You got to get your offer right and all that stuff, of course, but it's like clicks, right? And traffic. Once you've got clicks and traffic to a good offer, good landing page, the right niche, that's when you start becoming successful.
Yeah, that's what I like. Here's another tweet from Phil. So Phil Rivers wrote a tweet that like, if you want to have a like successful business, people focus on activities that are not useful. So he explains it as oxygen and non-oxygen. So oxygen is what keeps the business flowing. It's traffic. It's people clicking on your shit. If you don't have oxygen and you're focused on customer service or like editing tweets or like bio shit, it's like you're not getting oxygen instead of just writing threads that are, have the potential to go viral. So once you have that, and by the way, you don't really need a like, what are you now? You're like, how many followers you got? You're like over 15,000 now, right?
Yeah, 20, nearly 24,000, 23,000.
Holy shit. All right. So you're 24K. And you don't need 24K to make a lot of money on Twitter. Like you're one good thread away from opening so many fucking doors, you have no idea. So one of my friends, Luis, he wrote a landing page. He did a landing page for a launch that I had, and he offered to do it for free. And I was like, well, yeah, fuck yeah. If we're gonna do it for free, let's do it. He's a web designer. So he did a thread on how the page came to be. And he asked me and Ed Lattimore, which I launched a product with, to retweet it. So we retweeted it 2 days later, and he has 5,000 followers, by the way. This is not too much on the Twitter sphere. 2 days later, he called me and be like, yo, I closed 2 pages. I have 4 sales calls lined up, and I have an interview with an audience of 250,000 people waiting for me just from that thread. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like, that really happened. So you don't really need a lot of followers to make it, quote unquote, make it on Twitter. But you don't need, certainly you don't need a lot of followers to make money on Twitter. But you do need to publish proof of work and show that you're good at what you do. 1,000 followers can change your life just as 10,000 can. They just have to be the right followers, you know?
Yeah, 100%. That's a great story. And it touched on a good point about threads there. So what's your advice to people on threads? Because, you know, you can post, like I've had tweets before that have just gone super, you know, viral or whatever, just from like a kind of a shit post tweet, right? That's got no value to it. Not get like, it's got loads of engagement, but it didn't get many follows. Now, when I did a thread, let's say, of like high value thread, I think my pin tweet about how I ran a business and had a single digit body fat, and I broke it all down. Like that only got 2,000 likes, which is still quite viral, but the amount of follows I got from that was like insane, right? The amount of people that wanted to like see my expertise. So kind of what would your advice be to people on threads versus kind of just tweets that are meant to go viral?
All right, so this kind of depends on what your goal is. For me, there's like 5 types of Twitter accounts. The five, and they're way more worth more than the other. So the one that are worth less for me are accounts that just want followers. We're talking like motivation accounts, like hustle accounts, those kind of people. If you just want followers, it's fine, right? But you gotta understand that you're not getting a lot of leverage behind your name. Like Oliver Anwar is gonna have more leverage behind his name that mindset master, right? Or some shit like that. Of course, like it's a name. So if you want followers, you want to tweet stories. And it's good starting out. Like starting out, if you want to build a personal brand with leverage, stories are good. But if you just focus on just getting that, you're not going to attract the people you want. So that's followers. If you want engagement, and Oliver's really good at this, by the way, he tweets a lot about relatability, things that are going on. So maybe, I don't know, the Bitcoin dip happened and I tweeted. People tweet about the Bitcoin dip like the worst thing in their life, but they're overweight and they have like no friends or some shit like that. Went viral, right? Super engagement because it's about things that are going up on in the world, or stuff that happens to you and it's relatable. So I tweeted the other day, you ever get more dopamine from buying the books than from actually reading the books? Because it has happened to all of us, right? And yeah, of course it gets engagement. So that's engagement if you want it. If you want email signups, there's a lot of people want email signups. That kind of gets tied to engagement. So you need to write viral tweets. Viral tweets, the best way to do it is tailor for engagement, things that are going on, relatabilities. And then once your tweet goes viral, you plug in your offer below. And that's like standard money Twitter. If a tweet goes viral, you know you already have a platform that a lot of people are seeing. All you have to do is plug an offer below. Like get a call with me, buy my program, get on my newsletter. So that's how you get newsletter signups. And the 2 most important things for me, and the ones that like really qualify how good a Twitter account is, and why I think people with 1/10 of my following are playing the game better than me, it's sales. So if you're sales, I'm not talking about like coaching or services. I'm talking about maybe digital products, merch, online stuff. So you want to get sales, you need to post proof of work. And again, Ollie is really good at this. So if you want to work with Ollie, like he won't really ever sell you his program. He'll sell. This is how somebody looked. He took my program. This is how he looks now. So that's like very important. You need to show proof of what you do is right. I like how Cold Email Wizard and Matthew Pike did this. If you guys know them, they sell like agency and cold email courses. So they will never ever sell you the course. They don't even really have like extreme copywriting on their sites, but they'll just say, this guy was a loser. Then he took my course. Now he's at 10K a month 1. And they just put in the link. They don't even give you a fucking CTA. They just plug in the link. and they're making bank, or they're making so much money just because, like we talked about, Twitter audiences are warm audiences. If you already show proof that you know what you do, it's easy to convert them. And the main thing, and I think the one that are most people are going to be interested about, it's the most important thing. It's deals in the back end. So that's it. Services, coaching, people paying you like big high ticket stuff for what you do. And the way you do that is how to's and proof of work as well. So if you show this is how where somebody was, so I try to do that too with my agency. So this is where a client was. We started writing for them. Now he's here. So it's proof of work or how to's. Like this is going to be a thread. What I talked about is going to be a thread. How to tweet for followers, engagement, email signups, sales, and deals in the backend. Or how to actually grow your account, how to write a thread that converts, how to look for retweet partners. So if you write a lot of how-tos and about how you achieved something, people who want to achieve the same thing that you achieved are going to hit you up and they're going to DM you. And just because they're on Twitter and Twitter is just so open and you know it's really well connected, everybody one thread can open up to you like 10 DMs from people who can actually buy what you're selling. So what do you want to tweet on Twitter? It kind of depends on your goals. To summarize, followers, you tweet stories. Engagement, you tweet relatabilities and what's going on. Email signups, you get viral tweets and you plug in your offer below. If you want deals in the backend, you tweet how-tos and proof of work. And if you want sales, again, proof of work from people who have already done what you teach, and audience is warm, so it will convert.
That was awesome, man. That's a fucking great breakdown of everything there. And I didn't realize I was actually doing some of those things without thinking about it. But I think like the how-tos there are so valuable, right? Like how to drop X amount of body fat or how to scale your agency to X amount. Like people love those how-to tweets. And like you said, in the back end, that's going to bring a lot more DMs. And like if you've got a service business or a coaching business, that's going to how you're going to get more leads, right? Is through that warm audience, through those how-to threads.
Yeah, dude. And when you do that and when you're thinking, okay, I gotta share something, you're inevitably gonna get that belief that I don't want to give it all away for free. I don't want to really say what my secret sauce is. And you don't have to say everything. But again, another tweet from Black Hat Wizard Resonate that says, if you want to sell a course or you want to sell something on Twitter, the best way to do it is to give 90% away of it for free. Because people don't fucking respect free, dude. Like I had a guide on how to grow your Twitter. Nobody gave a shit. The moment I put a price tag on it, like everybody was recognizing me as the ghostwriter. I'm like, nothing changed. I just put a price tag on it. That's all. But people don't respect free. And when you put that kind of things, and it's like, let's say your coaching has like 5 pillars. I don't know how many they are, but let's just say 5. And you make a thread on a really detailed thread on one of them, and you tell them, so this is the pillar nutrition. So you go over all the steps on nutrition, and in the end, you say, this is one pillar of all my programs. Want to work with me and know what the other 4 so I can apply it for you with these results for clients? Book a call. So if you're reading this and you're thinking, I don't want to give it all away for free, like, no, that's exactly how you get the sales. Like nobody, like, dude, if you tweet like how to do something, I don't know, how did you fucking dominate a market? And you tweet that shit, people are not gonna do it just because it's free, but put a price tag on it and they will. So don't be afraid of it. People won't do anything with it, and you're gonna get a lot of credibility from it.
100%, man. And I've learned that as well. Like when you over deliver on value, that like guys, like they like to see everything, but like they don't want to act on it until they pay for it, right? Like it's just a thing, right? Like people need skin in the game to act, and especially within fitness as well, man. Like if people just read through like my big threads, like if they just applied that, like they would be like the fittest, strongest version of themselves, right? The problem is,
right?
People don't follow up through it, and they need accountability, and they need someone walking them through it. So that's why if you have like a ghostwriting business or a service business, anything like that, don't worry too much about giving it away. Essentially, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened with to me with you. So I paid you for a call like a couple months back, and dude, like I've read this advice for like years: count calories, lift weights, do your shit. And what happened in our call? You told me to count calories, lift weights, do my shit, and like it's almost as if paying somebody it's like giving yourself permission to take action on it.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah.
Super fucking weird. But yeah, I was like, oh yeah, what Oliver works. So I tried it, and guess what, guys? It fucking worked.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And lastly, so on that point, man, how's training going now? What are your goals in regards to physique and what you're working on?
Yeah. So for now, it's kind of weird because I need to fix my knee. I fucked up my knee. I play volleyball, so I kind
Sure.
of a rehab thing. But man, I just want the fucking six pack. Like that. That's all I need, dude. But yeah, I usually energy is fine because I feel so high energy. But I think like 13 to 15% body fat. When I get there, I'm like, yeah, I made it. I'm good. And it's really weird because now it's counterintuitive because when you're like, I gotta lose fat, and people tell you like, no, build muscle first and lose fat second. It's like, no, but I don't want to be bulky. I don't want to be huge. And you're like, don't worry, you won't be bulky. It's too fucking hard, right? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it takes fucking years to be bulky, so you'll be fine. You build a lot of muscle and then you lean down. And so I'm that kind of a phase where you see the balance go up a little bit and you kind of get freaked out. But it's
yeah.
like, no, this is part of the process. It's gonna be fine. Because then when you actually cut, it's gonna be so much easier just because your maintenance calories are just so much higher,
That's it.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then
man.
you've got all that muscle to unveil, right? And I've been seeing on your stories, man, you've been getting way stronger with your training and everything, man. Like the deadlifts you've been doing and that shit. So it's definitely working, man. It's just about patience, isn't it? Before you then cut down and achieve the six pack.
It's a lot about patience and a lot about ego, dude. Like, okay, so
Yeah.
I'm benching something. I'm benching a certain quantity. And I'm like, okay, I got this shit. I think I can pull it off. And then you put, what is it? What's the minimum? Like 5 pounds more, because 2.5, 2.5. And you're like 5 pounds more. Like, come on. I'm not a pussy, right? I can lift that shit. Well, those 5 pounds just make every difference in the world. So that's like super significant, right? Something that fitness told me as well is that getting excited for incremental little progress, because like huge
Sure.
progress in fitness is like it doesn't happen. It's going to be really, really slow, right? And you got to get excited about those little wins. That like yesterday I lifted 5 pounds more than what I usually lift, and I felt in top of the world, and it was super fucking hard because those 5 pounds made a whole big of a difference. But yeah, it's just fitness teaches you a lot of things. One thing being you got to be patient. Two is um, just keeping your ego in check, because if you lift more than you can lift, you're gonna get hurt and you're gonna get not get any results. So you pick up the lower weight and you do better for them, and that's actually gonna make you stronger. But people don't know that shit. People don't think about that shit. It's counterintuitive. So the gym's full of contradictions, which is really good when you have a coach, but super fun. Yeah, man.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome, man. I've always think that fitness is kind of like it teaches you the rites of passage for life, right? Like, you know, you can't get to the next level until you've done the fundamentals and you've been consistent, and like that's just a rule for life, right? Like, even if it's becoming a better writer or having a better relationship, like you don't get to that next level without doing the work in the trenches, right, and putting your reps in and completing that level before you go to the next one. So there's so many crossovers and parallels between success in the gym and then success in like business, relationship, life, right? And you know, fitness, I'd say, is probably the easiest way to get success. So when you go and try and build a business and a relationship, like those are the actual real challenges of life, right? Like trying to navigate those. So yeah, I think fitness teaches you so much in regards to that.
It does too. Like it's made me more peaceful, because then like the world's going down and I want to punch somebody, and then I work out. I'm like, it's not that big of a deal. I can handle it, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe it's also made me like it's made me more money, because some of my best dude, my best food ever came during a set of leg press. Crazy shit, but yeah, it did. It's made me calmer, and it's just made me happier, dude. And also like, do you notice that most of the things we're saying about the benefits of fitness, they're not even physical? Like
Never.
we're talking this whole fucking podcast, and you're like, oh yeah, by the way, you're gonna look good. But it's like all the things that come before it that just help you so much.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, if you listen to this podcast as well, you know, your goal might not to want to be right like this guy with like a ripped abs and six pack. And like, I had that goal for ages, but like now I've got into the more advanced stage of fitness. Like I just need to train to like live and like have energy and be productive and sleep well and all of these things that have nothing to do with aesthetics at all. That's why I train now, is because I want to be at like my best, my peak performance, my happiest, my most energetic, my most focused, right? Nothing to do with visuals, man, at all. Nothing, which is crazy, right? Because you think that the reason you get into it is because you want to look good. And after at the end of it, you're like, I don't care about that as much anymore. I care about all this other shit that's important to me.
Yeah, it's so crazy, but like it's harder. like from a copywriting standpoint, it's hard to sell fitness from a perspective of, oh, you're gonna have more energy, you're gonna look good. Like it's easier to sell if you tell you're gonna look good and you're gonna have sex more. It's like that's so
That's
much
true.
easier to sell. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
but you gotta look like behind that and think, okay, this is kind of a long-term thing. And
yeah.
guess what? Like the people who are strong as fuck, what do they want? They want to get stronger. The people who are weak as fuck, what do they want? They want to get stronger. You're gonna always be there, but it's that like that struggle that's really gonna make you happy. Because when you look at that balance, when you lift those 5 pounds more, and when you think, dude, I could focus for 1 hour, now I can focus for 90 minutes. That's like a huge change. That's incredible. Or like this idea that got me anxious for like weeks, I solved it. My subconscious solved it in the gym. I'm shitting you not, dude. One of the best copywriters in the world. I don't know if this is Schwartz. Just don't quote me on this, but I think Eugene Schwartz said that one key part of copywriting is taking a break. So you think about everything, and it's a literal step, like take a break. And when you take a break, you lift, you sleep, you do shit. All the other ideas that you've been cooking suddenly like get prepared for you, and they're like served. And it's like so much easier to solve your problems once that's done. And you don't want to do it in the beginning. You're like, you want me, like, I have so much work to do. I have 8 hours of work in front of me, and you want me to work for 1 hour, for work to work out for 1 hour. And it's like, yeah, because if you work out, the problems that took you 8 hours are gonna take you now 6 hours. So in
Yeah.
reality, you look better and you netted 1 hour of time, but it's counterintuitive, and that's why people don't fucking do it. That's a
Yeah.
tweet. I'm gonna tweet that shit.
Yeah, I love that. That's so true. It's kind of like you save time by being fitter and healthier, and that helps you become more productive, which is great, man. So JK, amazing to have you on today, man. Like we've talked about so many interesting things and so much value for the audience there in regards to writing, man. I'm going to listen to this one back because I can learn a few things. So JK, where can everybody find you if they want to connect with you? Plug yourself, your socials, anything that you want.
Appreciate it, man. So the best way to find me is on Twitter at JK Molina. I'll be there shit posting and talking with Oliver. So I'll see you around.
Awesome, man. Well, like I said, JK, thank you for coming on. It was awesome. Guys, if you did enjoy the podcast, please give it a 5-star rating, subscribe to the podcast as well. Check out JK's stuff. Links will be in the show notes, and we'll speak to you in the next one.